National Act Like Your Daughter Day, November 1, is a light-hearted, playful holiday where fathers take on the challenge of behaving like their daughters for a day. The idea is for parents to get a glimpse into their daughter's world by mimicking their attitudes, behaviors, styles, and even interests. It's meant to be fun and insightful, sparking conversations and building empathy between generations. Here's what it typically looks like. Dress the part. Fathers often dress like their daughters, borrowing clothes to match their daughter's style. Whether it's a trendy outfit, makeup routine, or even accessories, they go all out to look like a teen or young adult for the day. Speak their lingo. Fathers try to pick up on their daughter's slang and communication styles, from using phrases like slay, low-key, or lit, to responding with memes or GIFs in text messages. Follow the routine. For a day, fathers adopt their daughters' routines, whether it's scrolling through social media, taking selfies, binge-watching their favorite shows, or blasting music through headphones. Embrace the hobbies. Fathers may engage in activities their daughters love, such as trying a TikTok dance, playing their favorite video games, or going to places like the mall, cafe, or wherever their daughters like to hang out. Reflection. At the end of the day, the goal is to create space for deeper conversations. Fathers often find themselves more appreciative of their daughters' lives and challenges, and daughters get a chance to see their parents in a more playful, understanding light. National Act Like Your Daughter Day is all about fostering understanding and connection between parents and daughters, with plenty of laughs and memorable moments along the way. Kenneth spotted Joshua across the department store, doing a double take as he recognized the scarlet midi dress and the confident stride. Joshua, on the other hand, noticed Kenneth almost immediately, his eyes drawn to the pink cardigan and skirt ensemble. They exchanged wide grins as they approached each other. Kenneth: Joshua, that dress is fire. You're absolutely killing it today. Joshua laughing: thanks, Kenneth. And look at you in that pink cardigan and skirt. Totally giving off chic vibes. You're nailing this whole act like your daughter day thing. Kenneth: can I ask you something? Joshua: anything. Kenneth: are you wearing panties? Joshua: I ain't no hoe. Of course I am. Kenneth: me too. I've got to say, I never thought I'd be wearing a skirt in a department store, but here I am, loving every minute of it. Joshua: right? Same. This day is such a blast. I mean, it's hilarious, but also, I'm getting why my daughter is always so hyped about dresses. They're so comfy. Kenneth: exactly. I used to joke about how long it takes her to pick out clothes, but after today, I kind of get it. There's so much to choose from. And once you start accessorizing, it's a whole experience. Joshua nods enthusiastically. National Act Like Your Daughter Day is low-key my new favorite. Who knew pretending to be your kid would be this much fun? Kenneth: right? It's like we're not just goofing off, but actually learning something about their world. Plus, I'm feeling pretty fierce in this outfit. Joshua, you look fierce, man. And hey, speaking of fun, what do you think about ending the day with something really wild like going clubbing? Kenneth laughs: clubbing in these outfits. Now that would be next level. Joshua: exactly. We're already halfway there. Let's just lean into it. We can head over to the club later tonight, but first, we need to pick up some even more fabulous outfits. If we're going to do this, we have to do it right. Kenneth grinning: I'm in. Let's see what else this store has. We need something that screams, we're here to own the dance floor. They spent the next few hours shopping through racks of clothes, finding sequined dresses, flashy heels, and accessories that could turn heads. Every outfit they tried on came with laughter, playful commentary, and a shared excitement for the night ahead. Joshua holding up a glittery jumpsuit: how about this? I mean, if we're going big, why not go all out? Kenneth nods approvingly now. That is a power move. All right, I think we're set. Let's check out and then hit the club tonight. People won't know what hit them. Joshua: know what we forgot? Kenneth: what? Joshua: we need some kicks. Kenneth: right. But not just in a department store. The pair left the department store and headed to a shoe store. Kenneth picked out some strappy platform heels with glitter. Joshua preferred sleek, low-heeled ankle boots in a metallic finish. With their new outfits in hand, they made plans to meet up later that night, fully embracing the spirit of the day. What started as a light-hearted joke turned into an unforgettable day of bonding, laughter, and a celebration of stepping into their daughter's shoes, literally and figuratively. Emily stood in front of Joshua with a smile, hands on her hips as she surveyed his outfit. He had chosen a stunning one-sleeve scarlet mini dress for his night out clubbing with Kenneth, and even though it was a bold choice, Emily was proud of how confident Joshua looked. "Emily, you look fantastic, Josh. The dress is perfect, and it really brings out your confidence. But we need to step up the accessories to make sure you're club ready." Joshua grinned, feeling a little nervous but excited. He had no idea how much work went into pulling off a look like this, but Emily was a pro. "Joshua, I'm in your hands. I trust your judgment." Emily laughed and pulled out her accessory box, sifting through sparkling jewellery until she found the perfect pieces. "Emily, okay, since the dress is already a statement with that one sleeve, we don't want to go overboard with jewellery. Let's keep it classy but bold." She handed him a pair of gold drop earrings, each adorned with tiny crystals that shimmered under the light. "Emily, these will catch the lights perfectly in the club, and they'll elongate your neck. Trust me, you'll look stunning." Next, she picked out a sleek gold cuff bracelet for his bare wrist. "Emily, will keep it simple here, just this cuff to balance out the dress. It's enough without taking away from the drama of the outfit." Joshua slipped on the earrings and the cuff, feeling the transformation begin. Emily then turned to his shoes. "Emily, I approve of these shoes. Strappy heels are a great choice. Sexy, but practical enough for dancing. You'll last longer on the dance floor with these." Now came the most intimidating part for Joshua: makeup. Emily grabbed her makeup bag and guided him to the vanity. "Emily, okay, let's keep the makeup sultry, but not overdone. I'll go for a smoky eye to match the vibe of your dress, and some contouring to define those cheekbones." Joshua sat still as Emily worked her magic. She expertly blended foundation, added a touch of blush, and brushed on a deep burgundy lipstick to match the dress. The smoky eye she created was a masterpiece, with dark shadows that gave his eyes depth and drama, but without overwhelming his face. "Emily, there we go, looking absolutely fabulous." She handed him a compact mirror, and Joshua stared at his reflection in awe. He barely recognized himself, but in the best way possible. "Joshua, wow, I didn't know I could look like this." Emily grinned, clearly pleased with her work. "Emily, now, before you go, let me teach you some quick makeup touch-ups, just in case." She pulled out a small makeup kit and showed him how to blot his lipstick and apply a fresh layer without smudging it. Then, she demonstrated how to dab a little powder on his nose if he started to get shiny from dancing. "Emily, and remember, if your eyeshadow starts to fade, just take your finger and gently blend it again. You'll be good as new. Don't worry, you'll look amazing all night." Joshua nodded, taking mental notes as Emily handed him a small clutch with the essentials: his lipstick, a compact, and a few tissues. "Joshua, thanks, Emily. You're a lifesaver." "Emily, you're welcome, honey. Just have fun tonight and enjoy yourself. You've got this." Joshua stood up, feeling more confident than ever. With Emily's help, he was ready to own the night. As he gave her a grateful smile and headed out, Emily watched proudly, knowing her husband was going to shine out there. As soon as Joshua closed the door behind him, Tonya came storming down the stairs, arms crossed and a deep frown on her face. She had been watching the whole process of her dad getting ready, and, to say the least, she wasn't happy about it. She stopped in front of Emily, her eyes wide with disbelief. "Tonya, Mum, what is even happening right now? Did you seriously just help Dad get ready to go clubbing? In my favourite dress?" Emily, who was still cleaning up the makeup brushes and accessories from her vanity, turned around slowly, a knowing smile on her face. "Emily, well, it's National Act Like Your Daughter Day, honey. Your dad just wanted to have a little fun. Besides, that dress belongs to him. He bought it today, not yours." Tonya threw her hands up in frustration. "Tonya, fun? He's going to a club in a dress, Mum. My friends could be there. I'll never be able to show my face in that place again if they see him." Emily raised an eyebrow, calmly setting down her makeup tools. "Emily, you don't even know which club he's going to, sweetheart." "Tonya, exactly. Which one is it? Tell me. I need to know so I can make sure I'm nowhere near it." "Seriously, Mum, this is a nightmare. I'll be the girl with the dad who goes out dressed like me." Emily tried not to laugh at how dramatic Tonya was being, but it was hard to take her complaints seriously when Joshua was clearly just trying to have a good time. "Emily, honestly, I don't know which club. He and Kenneth didn't say." Tonya's eyes widened in horror, and she grabbed her phone, frantically scrolling through her group chats. "Tonya, great. Now I have to put out an emergency warning to all my friends to stay clear of anywhere remotely popular. If anyone posts a picture of him on Instagram, I'm done." Emily couldn't help but chuckle as she watched Tonya pacing back and forth. "Emily, Tonya, your dad just wants to have a good time, and he's not trying to embarrass you. It's one night, and it's all in good fun. No one's going to think less of you. Tonya spun around, clearly not convinced. Tonya, Mum, you don't get it. This isn't like some cute family thing. This is Dad. In a club. In heels. It's not even about what people think. It's about the fact that I'm scarred for life. Emily smiled and gave Tonya a gentle pat on the shoulder. Emily, you'll survive, honey. And who knows, maybe you'll even laugh about it later. Tonya rolled her eyes and let out a dramatic sigh before slumping onto the couch, staring at her phone as if it held the solution to her dilemma. Tonya, doubt it, Mum. Doubt it. As Tonya frantically texted her friends, Emily just shook her head and returned to cleaning up, knowing full well that Joshua was going to have the time of his life. And eventually, even Tonya would see the humour in it. The club was an explosion of lights, music, and energy, a sensory overload that Joshua and Kenneth hadn't experienced in years. From the moment they stepped inside, the bass of the music thumped through the floors, vibrating up through their heels and into their chests. Flashing neon lights bounced around the room, reflecting off disco balls and mirrors, making the entire place feel electric. Joshua, in his scarlet midi dress, and Kenneth, in his glittery jumpsuit, looked around in awe. The crowd was a mix of people, all dressed to impress, moving in sync with the pulsing beats. The air smelled of perfume, sweat, and excitement, and the music was loud enough that they had to shout to be heard. Kenneth, this place is wild. I feel like I'm 25 again. They pushed their way through the crowd toward the dance floor, where the DJ was playing a mix of pop and EBM hits, the kind of music that made it impossible to stand still. People around them were throwing their hands in the air, completely absorbed in the music, and it wasn't long before Joshua and Kenneth were doing the same. At first, they were a little stiff, after all. It had been a while since they hit a dance floor, but after a few songs, they found their groove. They twirled, laughed, and even attempted a few moves they remembered from their younger days. Every now and then, they'd catch each other's eye and burst into laughter, knowing how ridiculous they must have looked. Two middle-aged men, dressed to the nines in their daughter's style, dancing their hearts out like it was prom night. Joshua, I can't believe we're actually doing this. We look ridiculous, right? Kenneth, totally. But who cares? I'm having the time of my life. Joshua laughing, same. I can't even remember the last time I danced like this. Kenneth, you never danced like this. Not in heels. You're dancing like a girl. Joshua, thank you. As the night went on, they took breaks between dancing to head to the bar for drinks, opting for something fruity and colourful to match the night's vibe. They made conversation with people who complimented their outfits, and they fully embraced the spirit of National Act Like Your Daughter Day, living out every bit of fun they could muster. Joshua and Kenneth spent more of the night dancing with men their daughters' ages. They didn't care, not even on the occasional slow dance. Toward the end of the night, their feet started to ache from the heels, and their clothes, once immaculate, were wrinkled from all the movement. But the sore feet, the sweaty faces, and the wrinkled clothes didn't matter. As they finally stepped out of the club, the cool night air hitting their flushed faces, Kenneth sighed happily. Kenneth, I don't think I've danced that much in years. Joshua, my feet are killing me, but wow, that was worth it. They looked at each other, laughing at the absurdity of the whole experience. The club had been everything they'd hoped for, an unforgettable night of pure fun, laughter, and just a little bit of reckless abandon. Kenneth, what do you think your wife is going to say? Joshua, she's probably asleep by now. Kenneth, I can wait until next year, although next time I won't wear a thong. Joshua, he didn't tell Kenneth he wasn't wearing anything at all. Joshua and Kenneth shuffled into their respective homes, exhausted, their feet aching in heels that felt like a bad idea hours ago. Their once glamorous outfits were now wrinkled, glitter slightly smudged, and they both wore the unmistakable expressions of two men who had thoroughly enjoyed themselves despite paying the price. As soon as Joshua stepped into his house, his wife, Emily, was waiting by the living room with her arms crossed, her foot tapping impatiently on the hardwood floor. Emily, Joshua, Nathaniel, Roberts. Look at you, it's nearly 2 a.m. and you come stumbling in here like a teenager after prom. Do you even realise how late it is? Joshua blinked, caught off guard by the stern tone. He shifted uncomfortably, tugging at the strap of his wrinkled sexy one-sleeve scarlet mini dress. Joshua, yeah. Time kinda slipped away. Emily, you just nothing. You didn't even text to say you'd be late. I was worried sick. And look at your shoes. You can't even walk properly in them. Joshua stared down at his sparkly, now scuffed platform heels, wincing as his toes throbbed. Emily, you better get out of that ridiculous outfit and into bed before you do any more damage to those feet. And we're having a serious talk tomorrow about staying out late. You are too old to be out clubbing like this. Joshua sheepishly nodded, feeling like a kid who got caught sneaking out. Across town, Kenneth wasn't faring much better. Rachel, his wife, was waiting in the kitchen, her arms similarly crossed and an unimpressed look plastered on her face. Rachel, Kenneth, where on earth have you been? Do you have any idea how late it is? Kenneth, I know. We just got carried away. The club was Rachel carried away? In that outfit? You're lucky you didn't twist an ankle in those shoes. And look at your skirt. It's a wrinkled mess. How did you even manage that? Kenneth grimaced as he looked down at the pink-pleated satin wide-leg jumpsuit with spaghetti straps, now crumpled beyond repair, glitter from his necklace scattered across the fabric. Rachel, you're acting like a teenager who's never been out before. You can't go partying like this all night, Kenneth. You're going to regret this in the morning when your back hurts and your feet are swollen. Kenneth let out a tired sigh, rubbing his sore legs. Rachel, I swear, next time you and Joshua go out for National Act Like Your Daughter Day, you're setting a curfew. No more of this nonsense, understood? Kenneth, yeah, understood. Both men exchanged similar sheepish grins with their wives, knowing that, despite the scolding, they had a blast. They retreated to their bedrooms, nursing their sore feet and trying not to think about the inevitable talk waiting for them in the morning. But for tonight, the memory of the night's laughter, dancing, and sequins was worth every bit of it. The next morning, Joshua sat at the kitchen table, sipping coffee and still feeling the aftermath of a night out clubbing. His feet were sore, his outfit was crumpled, and his hair, which had been expertly styled the night before, was now a mess. But despite the fatigue, he had a grin plastered on his face. He had to admit, National Act Like Your Daughter Day had been more fun than he expected. Tonya shuffled into the kitchen, still half asleep, with a pout on her face. She was clearly still upset about the previous night, and Joshua could feel the tension as she sat across from him, wordlessly grabbing a bowl of cereal. Joshua, morning, sweetheart. You sleep okay? Tonya only shrugged, keeping her eyes fixed on her cereal. Joshua tried to make light of it, hoping to bridge the awkwardness between them. Joshua, you should have seen me last night. I danced like I was 20 again. The whole club was electric. Your old man still has some moves. Tonya rolled her eyes, uninterested. Tonya, I'm sure, Dad. I don't need details. Joshua chuckled, thinking back on one particular moment. Joshua, actually, there was this one guy I danced with, super friendly. He was tall, had this sharp jawline and great hair. Reminded me of someone, actually. Oh, what was his name? Ryan? No, Brian. Yeah, Brian. Tonya froze mid-chew. Her eyes widened as she snapped her head up, staring at Joshua in disbelief. Tonya, wait, Brian? As in Brian Anderson? Joshua tilted his head, confused. Joshua, yeah, I think that's what he said. Seemed like a nice guy. He bought me a drink and we danced for a bit. Why? Tonya's face turned red, a mixture of shock, horror, and embarrassment flashing across her features. Tonya, Brian Anderson is the guy I like, Dad. Joshua's eyes widened in realization, and before he could say anything else, Tonya jumped up from the table, cereal bowl forgotten. She bolted out of the kitchen and up the stairs, leaving Joshua sitting there, completely bewildered. Joshua, wait, Tonya. I didn't know. It was just a dance. But Tonya was already gone, her bedroom door slamming shut behind her. Joshua sat in stunned silence, still trying to process what had just happened. He never could have imagined that the guy he danced with last night would be the same Brian Tonya had been crushing on. He rubbed his forehead, now feeling a bit guilty and completely clueless about what to do next. Joshua, how do I get myself into these things? Emily walked into the kitchen, sensing the tension in the air. She had heard Tonya's bedroom door slam and saw Joshua sitting at the table, looking more than a little flustered. She raised an eyebrow as she approached. Emily, what happened? I just heard Tonya storm off like a tornado. Joshua sighed, rubbing the back of his neck as if trying to figure out how to explain the situation. Joshua, yeah, about that. I might have accidentally danced with Brian Anderson last night. You know, the Brian Anderson, Tonya's crush. And now she's kind of freaking out. Emily's eyes widened, and she couldn't help but laugh, covering her mouth. Emily, you danced with Brian? Tonya's going to be mortified. No wonder she's upset. Joshua winced, clearly feeling guilty. Joshua, yeah, it was just supposed to be a fun night, and I had no idea who he was until she told me. I honestly thought he was just some random guy being friendly. But, it wasn't just one dance. We danced a few times, including a slow dance. Emily raised both eyebrows this time, trying to suppress a grin. Emily, Joshua. Joshua threw his hands up defensively. Joshua, I didn't know. Okay? I swear. And now if I try to explain it to her, it's just going to make things worse. Can you please smooth things over with Tonya? You're way better at this than I am. Emily shook her head in disbelief, but could see that Joshua was genuinely concerned. She couldn't help but find the whole situation a little humorous, though. Emily, all right, I'll talk to her. But you owe me. Big time. Joshua sighed in relief, grateful for Emily's willingness to step in. Joshua, thank you. Seriously, I'm sure she'll never want to speak to me again if she finds out about the slow dance. I'm not ready to be completely disowned yet. Emily smirked, patting Joshua on the shoulder as she turned to head upstairs. Emily, I'll try to minimize the damage, but you might be laying low for a while. Joshua nodded, knowing that Emily would handle it with far more finesse than he ever could. He watched her leave the kitchen, bracing himself for whatever outcome awaited him. All he could do now was hope that Emily's charm would do the trick and keep the peace with Tonya. As Emily knocked on Tonya's door, Joshua could only mutter to himself. Cell phone music. Joshua picks up his phone. Joshua, hello? Brian, hi, this is Brian. From last night. Joshua didn't know what to say, so Brian continued. Brian, I just wanted to say I had a really great time last night. I was hoping we could go out again. Joshua, how did you get this number? Brian, you gave it to me. Don't you remember? Joshua, no. Brian, want to go out? Joshua, it was National Act Like Your Daughter Day. No, I don't want to go out. Brian, we had such a great time. Joshua, don't you understand? I have a daughter. I have a wife. I'm not going out with you. Brian, are you sure? Joshua, yes. Brian, if you change your mind, you have my phone number. Joshua, I won't change my mind. Joshua breaks the connection. Emily, with Tonya in tow, joins Joshua in the kitchen. Emily, Tonya has something to say. Tonya, I just wanted to say I'm sorry. I know it isn't your fault. Mum reminded me that it was me who encouraged you to celebrate National Act Like Your Daughter Day. I'm sorry. Joshua, it's okay. The pair hug. Joshua, but I don't think you should see Brian. Kenneth walked into the office Monday morning, feeling the usual hum of the workplace around him. Keyboards clacking, phones ringing, and quiet conversations floating around. But something felt different today. People were glancing at him more than usual, whispering to each other, some smirking as they passed by his desk. He couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. He had just barely sat down when his co-worker Dave leaned over the partition between their desks, an amused grin on his face. Dave, hey Kenneth, had a fun weekend, huh? Kenneth blinked, trying to figure out where this was coming from. Kenneth, yeah, I guess. Why? Before Dave could respond, another co-worker, Marissa, chimed in from a few desks down. Marissa loved the pink jumpsuit look, by the way. You really pulled it off. Kenneth's stomach dropped. The memories of National Act Like Your Daughter Day came flooding back, and suddenly, it all made sense. He glanced around nervously, noticing that more people were now clearly snickering and exchanging glances. Kenneth felt even more self-conscious, knowing that under his suit he was wearing silken panties and opaque tights. Kenneth, wait. How do you guys know about that? Just then, Holly, the intern, walked by, holding a stack of papers, but grinning like she had a secret. Holly, oh, I might have seen you at the club Saturday night. You were really rocking that pink jumpsuit, Kenneth. It was hard to miss. Kenneth's heart sank. Of course, Holly. She must have spotted him while he was out with Joshua. She hadn't said anything that night, but clearly, she hadn't hesitated to spill the beans as soon as she got to work. Kenneth, oh no. Dave couldn't contain his laughter anymore and slapped Kenneth on the back. Dave, come on, man, it's all in good fun. I mean, it's not every day we get to hear about you dressed up like that. Marissa nodded, a mischievous twinkle in her eyes. Marissa, yeah, we're all dying to know how long it took you to walk in those heels. Kenneth rubbed his temples, feeling the headache already forming. He knew National Act Like Your Daughter Day was supposed to be a light-hearted joke, but he hadn't expected it to follow him into work. He could only imagine what his boss was going to say if this got any bigger. Kenneth, listen, it was just a thing for the day. Joshua and I were having fun. That's it. Holly raised an eyebrow, still smirking. Holly, you and Joshua looked like you were having a blast. You should have seen the look on people's faces. I mean, you guys were the life of the party for a bit. Kenneth sighed, trying to maintain his composure while the teasing continued. The last thing he needed was to become the office's running joke, but it seemed like that ship had already sailed. But what about the tights he was wearing? He was sure no one would notice that they weren't his usual socks. They were black and seemed sock-like. When he put them up this morning, he felt like he was playing a joke on everyone. But if they discovered his secret, the joke would be on him. He moved his feet to as far under his desk as he could. Kenneth, okay, let's all just calm down. I promise it wasn't as wild as you're all imagining. Dave chuckled again, leaning back in his chair. Dave, come on, Kenneth. You know we're never going to let you live this down, right? Kenneth gave him a weak smile, knowing full well that Dave wasn't wrong. He could already see the memes and photoshopped pictures that would probably circulate in the office Slack channel. Kenneth, yeah, I kind of figured. Marissa, I'm going to the ladies' room. You want to come with? Kenneth, what? Marissa, I thought you might want to freshen your lipstick. It's all faded. Kenneth, I'm not wearing lipstick. Marissa, I thought you were. Marissa walked off, purposefully clacking her heels. As Kenneth tried to focus on his work, the occasional chuckle and comment from his co-workers reminded him that this was going to be a long day, and probably an even longer week. He just hoped the teasing would blow over soon. But the teasing didn't blow over. Just before lunch, a salad dietetic was left on Kenneth's desk, with a note that proclaimed, "To help you keep your girlish figure." Kenneth decided to lean into the joke. He'd survived worse, and besides, he had pulled off that pink jumpsuit pretty well. Tomorrow he would show them all. Tuesday morning, Kenneth walked into the office with a new sense of confidence. He was wearing a pastel green suit, a perfectly tailored blazer over a knee-length skirt, paired with forest green heels. His makeup was understated but flawless, with a subtle touch of blush, eyeliner, and a light pink lipstick. His earrings sparkled in the overhead lights, and a delicate necklace rested on his collarbone. His hair, usually unremarkable, had been slicked back neatly, and for the first time he carried a small clutch instead of his usual leather briefcase. As he strutted into the office, heads turned once again. But this time, the looks weren't just of amusement. They were of surprise and, in some cases, admiration. He made sure to walk confidently, his heels clicking against the floor, as if to say, "I dare you to say something." Dave, who had been the loudest of the teasers the day before, was the first to react, his eyes wide as Kenneth approached his desk. Dave, whoa. Kenneth, wow. You really went for it today, huh? Kenneth smiled, standing tall and adjusting the cuff of his blazer. Kenneth, what can I say? You guys liked my outfit so much I thought I'd give you an encore. Figured if I'm going to be the office fashion icon, I should own it. Oh, and I would be happy if you started to call me Kenny. The office was momentarily quiet, people unsure how to respond to Kenneth's boldness. But then Marissa, the same co-worker who had teased him the day before, broke the silence with a laugh. Marissa, you look fabulous, Kenneth. I mean, seriously, you've got better taste than half the guys and girls here. Kenneth smiled broadly and gave a mock curtsy, careful not to lose his balance in the heels. Kenneth, why thank you, Marissa. It takes effort to pull off this level of fabulous. Holly, the intern who had started all the teasing by outing him at the club, walked by and stopped in her tracks when she saw Kenneth in his pastel suit. She looked him up and down, clearly caught off guard. Holly, wow, Kenneth. I didn't think you'd actually... Kenneth cut her off, giving her a knowing smile. Kenneth, oh, Holly, call me Kenny. I'm just here to make sure everyone knows that I can handle a little teasing. No hard feelings, right? Holly blinked, then slowly smiled back. Holly, you know what? I respect the confidence. Kenneth grinned, pleased with her reaction. He turned on his heel, literally, and headed to his desk, ignoring the murmurs that followed him. As he sat down, he couldn't help but feel a little triumphant. The power of his decision to embrace the joke, rather than shy away from it, was paying off. People weren't laughing at him anymore. They were intrigued, even impressed. As the day went on, Kenneth noticed that the teasing had practically disappeared. There were still a few amused looks and the occasional whisper, but the tone had shifted. Instead of being the butt of the joke, Kenneth had taken control of the narrative. He even took Marissa up when she asked if he wanted to go to the ladies' room with her. He took the opportunity to refresh his makeup in the ladies' room. Later, during lunch, Dave approached Kenneth with an air of genuine curiosity. Dave, okay, I gotta admit, I didn't expect you to come in today like this. You've got guts, man. I don't think anyone else here would have the nerve. Kenneth leaned back in his chair, crossing one leg over the other. Kenneth, thanks, Dave. I figured, why not? If I'm going to get teased, I might as well enjoy myself in the process. Marissa, who had joined them for lunch, chimed in. Marissa, I think it's awesome. Honestly, it takes confidence to pull something like this off. You've won, Kenneth. The teasing is over. Kenneth locked eyes with Marissa for a second. Marissa, I mean Kenny. Kenneth smiled, feeling a sense of victory wash over him. He had set out to prove a point, and it had worked better than he could have imagined. As the workday wound down, Kenneth gathered his things to head out. He received a few final compliments as he walked out the door, feeling lighter than he had in days. As he stepped outside, Kenneth couldn't help but laugh to himself. He had come in that morning ready for anything, and by the end of the day, he had turned a potentially embarrassing situation into a triumph of confidence and self-assuredness. Kenneth, maybe I should wear a skirt suit more often. How about every Tuesday? Joshua had just sat down on the couch with a cup of coffee when his phone buzzed. Glancing at the screen, he saw Brian's name. He sighed, knowing what was coming, but picked up the call anyway. Joshua, hey Brian. What's up? Brian's voice was smooth, and Joshua could almost picture him leaning against something casually, just like the night at the club. Brian, hey Joshua. I was thinking, we had a great time the other night. How about we go out for dinner sometime? Just the two of us. Joshua tensed. He had a feeling this was coming, but now that it was here, he wasn't sure how to respond. He liked Brian well enough, but not in that way. Plus, there was Tonya to consider. She clearly had feelings for him, and that complicated things even more. Joshua, Brian, I had a great time too, but I don't think that's a good idea. I'm flattered, really, but I'm going to have to pass. There was a pause on the other end, just long enough for Joshua to feel a bit guilty. He didn't want to hurt Brian's feelings, but he needed to be clear. Brian, I see. Well, no hard feelings, Joshua. Maybe another time. Joshua breathed a sigh of relief. Joshua, thanks for understanding, Brian. I appreciate it. They exchanged polite goodbyes, and Joshua put his phone down, feeling the weight lift from his shoulders. He thought that was the end of it, but 10 minutes later, his phone buzzed again. This time, it wasn't for him, it was Tonya's ringtone. Joshua frowned, then heard his daughter's muffled voice in the hallway. She was laughing, clearly having a casual conversation with someone. He didn't think much of it until a name floated through the air. Tonya, oh. Hey, Brian. What a surprise. Joshua froze, a knot of dread forming in his stomach. Brian was calling Tonya? After just being turned down by him? He strained to hear more, but their conversation was too quiet. Joshua felt a pit forming in his gut. Tonya didn't know what had happened between him and Brian at the club. She had no idea that Brian had asked him out only minutes before. After what seemed like forever, Tonya hung up and came into the living room with a big smile on her face. Tonya, guess who just called me? Brian. He wants to hang out this weekend. Isn't that great? Joshua's heart sank. He knew he had to tell her what happened, but he wasn't sure how to say it without making everything awkward or worse, hurting her. He looked at his daughter's excited face and knew he couldn't tell her just yet. Joshua knew what he must do, tell his daughter. This would be the most awkward conversation that a man ever had with his daughter. His daughter's boyfriend had just asked him out for a date for a second time. Joshua, honey, about 10 minutes ago, I got a call from Brian. Tonya, Brian? Joshua, yeah, he asked me out. Tonya, he asked you out? He asked my dad out? Joshua, I don't think he knows I'm your dad. But if he is going to ask me out, a middle-aged man who is dressing in drag, I don't think you should see him. Tonya, you're making this up. Joshua, no, I'm not. See? Joshua shows his daughter his call log on his phone. Tonya, tears forming in her eyes. I don't believe it. Joshua, I'm sorry. Tonya, I'm going to call him and tell him the date is off, and I'll give him a piece of my mind. Joshua, I have a better idea. Call him back and tell him your dad is being a pain and that he shouldn't come to the house. You will meet him down the street. Tonya, I'm not going out with him. I don't want to see him again. Joshua, you won't. I'll go and see him and I'll tell him what is what. Brian arrived on time for his date with Tonya, but Tonya wasn't there when he arrived. He waited for a short time. Kenneth dressed in an emerald sheath dress and heels. Hey, I know you. We met at the club the other night. Brian didn't recognize Joshua's friend. Brian. Oh, yeah, hi. Kenneth, what are you doing here? Brian, I'm waiting for someone we were supposed to meet. Kenneth, I'm waiting too. Brian didn't know what to think. As the pair were talking, Joshua, dressed in a dark violet halter A-line dress and a hat that obscured his face, approached. Kenneth, there is my friend. As Brian turned to see who it was, Kenneth grabbed Brian and put him in a full Nelson. Joshua punched the pinned man. Soon, Kenneth and Joshua beat Brian to a pulp.
Joshua! If you ever talk to me or my daughter again, I'll make this beating seem like a soft kiss on the cheek!